Hello folks, I'm John Myrie and welcome to the Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. On this week's show we have tips and reports for you from Jarrett McCarthy down at Hayward Bait and Bottle. And then with fall upon us now and the fall transition already underway on many of the lakes, on this week's show we're talking with Hayward area fishing guide and lure maker Tom Leahy about fall fishing. All this coming up right after these messages.
You want to get outdoors, you want to have some fun.
There are still plenty of epic fishing adventures to have this year, but they rely on having the right boat. That's where Hayward Power Sports comes in. We have an awesome selection of new Lund boats built by fishermen for fishermen for the last 75 years, and no boat retains their value better. Or check out a Tracker, America's #1 selling fishing boat. Both brands are powered by Mercury outboards, rigged and ready. Don't miss another day of fishing. See us at Hayward Power Sports, just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77.
The Hayward Lakes Visitors and Convention Bureau in Sawyer County, Wisconsin welcomes you to our Northwoods hometown. No matter the season, no matter the activity, you'll always be surrounded by our great outdoors. What more could you ask for in a vacation destination? Woods, waters, world-class events. Contact us for information on lodging, dining, attractions, events, trail conditions, and more. Order your free vacation guide and start planning your getaway today. Visit us at haywardlakes.com or call 1-800-724-2992.
Riding along in my automobile.
Bumping into things unexpectedly? Make your first choice for collision repair. Ernie's Auto Body, featuring the most advanced collision repair facility in Northwest Wisconsin. With a state-of-the-art spray, bake down, draft paint booth for that better-than-new finish, laser technology for precision frame alignment, loaner cars available, computerized estimates, written guarantees, and documented unmatched customer service, the clear choice is Ernie's Auto Body, south of Hayward on Highway 63 and Nursery Road, where quality is no accident.
Lynn's Custom Meats and Catering welcomes you to stop by for their great lunch menu. And while you're there, Lynn's also has a great selection of custom-cut meats and sausages, as well as many varieties of snack sticks, jerky, fresh cheese curds, and much more. Lynn's is open Mondays through Fridays from 9 to 5:30 and 9 to 4 on Saturdays. Lynn's Custom Meats and Catering in Hayward.
Today, anglers fish longer. Today, anglers fish harder. Today, anglers rely more than ever on their electronics. It all comes down to catching more fish, and today, anglers rely on Amped Outdoors lithium batteries, period. Visit ampedoutdoors.com today to power your outdoor experience.
We're down at Hayward Bait and Bottle. I'm talking to Jarrett McCarthy down here. And Jarrett, we talked about it before a week ago, things moving shallow, but fall transition is here. Water temperatures have dropped quite a bit.
Yeah, I swear fall snuck up in a heartbeat, and all of a sudden, it does not feel like summer anymore out there. We got some cooler temps in the mid-60s, low 70s at best, or what have you. The wind is kicking up, so that's going to start cooling off some water temps even more than what it is. But, yeah, I guess we'll be looking into fall patterns early this year.
Start watching your locator, looking for the bait fish and the fish moving up against the weeds, and then they'll move into the weeds, a lot of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Fish will be on the move, and usually this time of year, it's the move up shallow again.
Let's talk about walleye fishing. That always starts to really pick up, and actually the minnow bite starts to show up again.
Yeah, it really does. This time of year, guys been trolling for a long time, and they've been running leeches and crawlers throughout the entire summer. But now that we're getting into the later part of the year, and a lot of the fry that's been in our lakes or what have you has had a chance to grow up, a lot of those walleyes will start keying in on those little minnows or what have you, and that's why we get into such a good bite with, jigging minnows and slip bobbers and, suckers or what have you up here, whether it be walleye, bass, or, your bigger critters like northern musky. But a lot of these fish are going to start looking for bigger meals as opposed to a whole bunch of those littler meals like what we had when we had all those bug hatches.
Let's talk about the panfish out there. I've been out doing some pan fishing. It's been really good. It's been mostly a deeper water pattern of, 15 out to 20 feet of water I've been finding.
Yep, and those fish are still out there holding from summer, but as we start cooling off, those fish will start coming back up to weed lines. They'll start coming up to those shallower cribs. They'll start coming in a little bit shallower now that water's a little bit more forgiving. And, we still got a really good bite in front of us, whether you be fishing those fish that are still out deep or coming up shallow.
Yeah, and a lot of people fish up too high for them, I see, when they're this time of year. I mean, you can catch some, if you're in 20 feet of water, you can catch some 10 feet down, but you catch a whole lot more of them if you're a few feet off the bottom, it seems like.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what your electronics are for. You know, if you take the time and go over a whole bunch of the spots that you're going to be fishing, you can get a good read where the fish are sitting in relation to the water column. So if you're seeing a whole bunch of fish that are sitting, 16-7 feet down in 20 feet of water, it probably pays to go deeper than 8 feet.
And I know you fish panfish a lot too, so do I, as far as guiding, but a lot of people think automatically that it's going to be a minnow bite with the crappies, but not necessarily. They're still going on plastics all the way up till freeze up.
Yeah, plastics, and I've had a lot of success with hard baits this year too. Whether you're pulling crankbaits or like little spinner rigs or something like that, those crappies are really, really aggressive, and it's a great way to single out some of those bigger fish. But yeah, plastics will work all the way through the ice season. There's not a time of the year where you can't catch a fish on a plastic, but as we get a little further into fall, live bait, it works pretty well too.
You mentioned hard baits too, and the one thing that gets overlooked a lot for crappies and bluegills is things like little tiny jig and wrap type baits, little slab wrap type baits, and also little jigging spoons.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about trolling with walleyes throughout the summer and, pulling crankbaits and stuff by their face, and how it's a great tactic to get reaction bites out of fish, and it goes the same way with panfish when you're using those crankbaits, whether it be like something with a bigger lip, or whether it be like one of those ultralight rip and wraps or what have you, that you're kind of working. It's enlisting one of those reaction strikes, and you're picking those more aggressive school fish out of there, and it's a great way to find the active ones.
And the other end of the spectrum too is if you're fishing plastic or a bait like that, don't jig it, don't move it a lot, just hold it still down there. It's almost like that craze that's going on with the bass and stuff, where they call it, floating the minnow, or, hanging the minnow, or whatever. They just hold the bait still. They wait for the fish to come. That's one of the secrets to the Ned rig, is that people move it too fast. You ought to drag it a couple of feet and leave it set for 10 seconds. I mean, that's going to the other option of, as far as the spectrum, as far as the fish activity. They'll look at it only so long before somebody rushes in and grabs it.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as moving things too fast, how many things do you see underwater that are moving at, 3, 4, 5 feet per twitch and continually go, slow it down and make it look more naturalistic? It's often the times to go.
I always like to say, if you had a hamburger that was jumping up and down 3 feet on the table, would you want to eat it? I mean, but let's talk about some other fish. Muskies. We're going to see the water's cooled down now. More and more guys are going to be going after muskies.
Absolutely. And we're starting to see some musky suckers come into the shop here. We've got a few, and, as the water cools down more and more, we'll see bigger musky suckers come in. A lot of guys, in addition to throwing baits off the front of the boat, they'll hang musky suckers over the side. So they get fish that come in that don't quite want to go on one of their big harder baits. You kind of got that fresh meat there hanging off the edge. But yeah, with those water temps starting to cool down, makes it a lot safer to target these fish, and these fish are going to start moving a lot more too.
Well, in this time of the year, too, historically, I've seen a lot of night action on muskies from here through the first week of September. And this year, it seems like I'm seeing an awful lot of pictures out there online. A dark background. People are fishing at night more. I guess, we figured it out years ago, but now more, it's kind of having a resurgence, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm seeing quite a few pictures out there, too. And as far as getting out on a lake when, there's not a whole lot of fishing pressure, the nighttime's a good way to get out there.
Bass and muskie fishing, or bass and pike fishing has been good?
Yeah, absolutely. We're still getting a lot of people that are doing really well on both smallmouth and largemouth. There's a couple different bites out there, and pike, there's always people catching pike. We've seen some really nice, healthy pictures of pike coming through lately.
In the bigger pike, there again, we're out in deeper water, and now going to start coming up to the weed edges, on the weeds a little bit more, I think.
Yep, absolutely. Those fish they're going to start moving. They're going to be following the food, and obviously the panfish and, all the little bait fish are going to come up shallow. They will too.
Let's not ignore the hunting season. The fall hunting season is fast approaching on us now, and the archery deer, small game, not far off now.
Yep, absolutely. We had doe tags go on sale last week, so if you haven't had a chance to go out and take a look at the new zones and grab yourself a doe tag, they're on sale right now. Go get them while they're still available.
And whether you're fall hunting or fishing, you guys pretty much got them covered for everything.
Absolutely. We got someone here who knows something about what you're going out to do.
And the equipment and tackle or whatever else you need, guns, ammo, everything.
Yeah, we've been known to carry a little bit of each of that. Yep.
Jarrett, I want to thank you greatly for taking the time here.
Yep. Thanks for having me again, John.
Well, folks, we need to take a break right now and hear from some of the fine sponsors that make this show possible every week. When we come back, we'll be talking fall fishing for walleyes, crappies, and panfish, as well as northern pike and muskies with Hayward Area Fishing Guide Tom Leahy. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Hayward Bait and Bottle is your one-stop for the Hayward area's largest selection of rods, reels, lures, fishing electronics, boating supplies, and they've now expanded their selection of soft plastic bass and walleye baits. No matter what you're fishing for, at Hayward Bait and Bottle you'll find everything you'll need for a successful season, and while you're there, in their bottle shop you'll find a full selection of beer, wine, and liquor too. And also don't forget, now they carry Shoremaster docks, lifts, and accessories at Hayward Bait and Bottle. There's no time like the present to explore Hayward, Wisconsin, one of the Midwest's most popular vacation destinations. With crystal clear lakes for water sports and fishing, miles of trails for riding snowmobiles, ATVs, cross-country skiing, hiking, and mountain biking, this area is buzzing with activity year-round. Combined with charming local shops and a variety of Northwoods dining options, Hayward is certain to offer both adventure and relaxation for everyone. Plan your trip today and find everything you need on the Hayward Area Chamber of Commerce website. From events and attractions to local dining, shopping, and lodging, visit haywardareachamber.com and start your next adventure now. Big fish stories come to life at the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame. The world's largest shrine to freshwater anglers boasts a 4.5-story tall walk-through musky that's a half a city block long. It's like taking a peek into Granddad's old tackle box with thousands of mounted fish, antique outboard motors, and historical sport fishing artifacts. Stop in and take a chance on our 50-50 cash raffle. You could walk away with a pile of cash. See the big ones that didn't get away at the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame, Highways 27 and B in Hayward. Open daily, including Sundays, through October 31st at 9:30 a.m.
Looking to get more done and unlock more adventures this summer? It's time for a new side-by-side or ATV, and Hayward Power Sports has some great Can-Am summer deals on now. This is your chance to find your new ride and get up to $3,500 off or 0.99 financing for 36 months on select 2025 models. The Can-Am Defender is the perfect utility side-by-side that's extra tough on the worksite or for projects around your property. Can-Am Maverick is the high-performance machine that delivers an unrivaled adrenaline surge. Or get the best of work and play with the ultimate crossover, the Can-Am Commander. Maybe you prefer a traditional Can-Am ATV. If so, there are none that match the performance of a Can-Am Outlander ATV. You deserve a machine that's ready to explore, work, and play as hard as you do. And with up to $3,500 off or 0.99 financing for 36 months, now's the time to make it happen. Take home a Can-Am today from Hayward Power Sports, just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77.
Offer ends August 31st, 2025. Certain conditions apply. See dealer for details.
Welcome back to another segment of this week's Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. And this part of the show is brought to you by the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau. For more information on lodging and vacationing here in the Hayward Lakes area, check out their website at haywardlakes.com. Well, folks, fall is fast approaching on us here now, and the fall transition is already upon us. And on this week's show, we're talking to Hayward Area Fishing Guide Tom Leahy about fall fishing for muskies and a lot more. Tom, good to have you on here again. You're pretty regular on the radio show.
Yeah, John, thanks for having me.
You just got run off the lake by a major storm going through, and we've been having some, but surprisingly, you had a couple fish action, but not a lot. But what's been going on? What you've been seeing out there as a guide as far as the fishing for muskies?
Yeah, for the muskies, I just got back before a big storm and was hoping to do a little bit better. I lost one on a bucktail, on a hair bucktail. It hit it, jumped out of the water, and flung the bait. I was kind of bummed out. It wasn't a giant fish, but would have been nice to catch. And then I moved one, had a better one roll on a topwater near the weed edge.
Well, you've been guiding quite a bit. You've been doing musky work or guiding walleyes, a little everything.
A little bit of everything.
As far as the fish action, let's start with muskies on Chippewa flowage and places. What are you seeing down there, and what do you think we got coming up here?
Lately, it's been a pretty consistent bucktail bite, whether that's tinsel, hair. A lot of the fish have been relating to some of the slop. A lot of the fish moved in the slop. Or the deep weed edges, something next to deep water.
Well, typically, we get near the end of August every year, the last week or two, when that water temperature starts to drop for the fall. we see a major movement of everything up shallow, really.
Yes, yeah, and let's see, yeah, a bunch of northerns and bass move shallow too out there.
Yeah, that's a little bit early for what I expect for this time of year. Usually I look at that by the third week or so of August. But as far as the walleye fishing, what are you hearing there on the walleyes?
I've been getting a few, doing a lot of crappie stuff lately, but the walleyes I've been seeing them in the kind of the late summer typical spots, deeper edges of bars, if there's wood around, some wood. But then again, early mornings, evenings, there is a shallow bite. Trolling is a big factor, whether that's trolling crankbaits and or doing the crawler harness thing on some of the clear lakes.
Yeah, has it been a jig bite for the walleyes more than a slip bobber now?
Yeah, slip bobber, some guys have been doing decent. I heard of another guy, early in the morning, 6 a.m, getting a couple or 2-3 nice keeper-sized walleyes on a slip bobber and crawlers, or he still had leeches, I guess, on a weed edge because the bluegills had left, so he was able to do it very early on a 7-foot weed edge. Otherwise, another guy I know was getting some better walleyes, starting to do the slip bobber and sucker minnow thing, walleye sucker. So,
yeah. Well, and the big thing too, we've got panfish. The panfish bite has been good. I know you've been out there. Your dad's been out there. I've been out there, and most of that's been deeper now.
Yep, it seems like crappies. You can still get them on cribs, but things are starting to trend towards basin activity. Whereas, like, let's say on the flowage, we noticed, the crappies weren't there last week. Bam. Now there's tons of crappies. Prior to that, it was just some scattered bluegills, maybe a crappie or two. Now it's a whole bunch. So keep that in mind.
That's typical. And I know the smallmouth bass fishing has actually picked up. I've been doing pretty good on that. And that's typical of this time of year. Everything seems to start picking up.
I think so, and we're looking at a cold front coming here, so that should make things interesting too, and really start dropping those water temps.
Well, Tom, another thing I want to talk to you about there too is that you guide both your dad guides and your other brother some too, but typical of a lot of guides, you got into the lure business now too for musky lures. Yeah,
today. I missed that musky on a bucktail. It jumped out of the water, flew out. That was one of my baits. It was one of my hair baits, which I don't tie a lot of. Just kind of do those for fun. I don't sell them. But I was hoping to get a fish on that. It was an orange and black with copper blades. Anyway, I do inline musky tinsel bucktails, and they've been producing some nice fish, hearing some good things. I enjoy to throw them as well, and something different. They got their own little flair to them, and looking forward to catching some more fish here in September on them. Even October last year on the real big one that I make, 10 with a big rubber. It's called a big, and that one was doing pretty good, at least into the second week of October. So a late fall kind of bucktail.
Well, and bucktails, a bucktail's not a bucktail. There's a lot of differences, a lot of little things to look at on a bucktail as far as design and how they work. I know you're using a pretty much heavy gauge blades on your bigger bucktails, aren't you?
Yeah, use a heavier, like number 10 on those big ones or whatever. But the nice thing is about them, you can, if the fish are shallow, because of that big old tail, they're almost buoyant, but you can roll them real slow, and those blades really just kind of thump real nice. So you start seeing muskies that are maybe hanging out next to something deep or in deep water. They're very productive, actually.
A lot of the musky bucktails now have gone to that tinsel stuff. I mean, more so than the hair, it seems like.
Yeah, and most of my bucktails are the tinsel. But like I said, I'm trying to, it's kind of a learning experience too. But working on some hair ones as well. But both are productive. Some guys say hair, some guys say tinsel. Sometimes it's a matter of the fish being hungry and just seeing a bait in their face too.
Well, I know, yeah, when they're hot, they just jump on anything. And talk about the bucktails. I know you got, where are they available at for what you're making there?
Yeah, they're available at Hayward Bait and Bottle. They have a pretty big selection. Jinx Bait, by the Flowage, Can of Worms, Ross's Sports and Bait Shop there in Phillips, and Happy Hooker by Lost Land and Teal Lake.
Well, folks, we need to take yet another break and hear from even more of the fine sponsors that bring their show to you every week. When we come back, we'll have the second part of that talk we had with Hayward Area Fishing Guide Tom Leahy. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Hey, folks, come on over to Hayward Ace Hardware and check out the area's largest selection of firearms, ammo, and accessories. We carry top brands like Browning and Sig Sauer, and we have a great selection of the newest and hard-to-find models. We've got a large selection of ammo with more coming in daily. If you need a scope, we carry great brands like Leupold, Hawk, and EOTech, and we'll even mount it and bore-sight it for you, too. We even sell suppressors and silencers. And don't forget to check out our Guns of the Week. Huge discounts on a variety of pistols, rifles, and shotguns that change every week. So stop on in to Hayward Ace Hardware, your firearms superstore. Hayward Ace Hardware, Highway 63 North in Hayward, or give us a call at 715-634-8700.
Hayward Animal Hospital is a full-service medical and surgical hospital featuring on-site laboratory, digital and dental x-ray, in-house pharmacy, and online store. Dr. Ostrander has 40 years of experience dealing with illnesses, injuries, surgery, and dentistry. Hayward Animal Hospital offers urgent care appointments and emergency surgery daily. Please call early in the day for these appointments. They open at 8 a.m. Hayward Animal Hospital is located 1 mile east of Hayward on Highway B. Call 715-634-8971.
Hey folks, the Log Cabin Store in Northwoods Beach on Highway K between the Big Lakes has groceries, ice, beer, liquor, and pop, and now has all new tackle and bait supplies. All current antiques and household items are now on sale and all must go to make room for the sport shop. That's at the Log Cabin Store in Northwoods Beach between the Big Lakes.
If you'd like to have your time fishing be more enjoyable and productive, hiring a fishing guide can be a good investment. Whether it's learning more about fish patterns throughout the year, learning how to use your depth finder to find the best spots and fish, learn how to use that GPS to get the most out of it, or learn better boat control. A day on the water with a guide can really help you to be a better angler as well as make a day on the lake very enjoyable. To book a guide trip this year or get more information, you can find us on the internet at www.wiscnorthlandoutdoors.com and then just click on Area Guides.
Welcome back to the last segment of this week's Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. And folks, on this part of the show, we talk northern pike fishing with Tom, and Tom offers some great tips that maybe help you catch a few more and some nicer sized pikes. And before I let you go here, one thing I'm going to talk about, one of the things you seem to be really good at catching on your own. You do a lot of it just yourself, and you even go up to Lake of the Woods after them. You like fishing for big pike.
I do. They're very enjoyable.
And around here, I mean, we don't seem to have very many of those really big pike, but we've got some decent pike.
Yeah, it seems like, we have a lot of numbers lakes, and some lakes are they're numbers, but yet have the potential to grow big ones. Some of the clear lakes, you might find, the potential for that 40-incher, over 40, LCO, grindstone, round. Maybe they're a smarter pike. They're almost like a musky at that point sometimes, but they're still a pike. And, that's where a lot of times you see a lot of those big fish. Chippewa Flowage, the Pike Improvement Project, as such, many of the lakes that are participating, the goal is to, maybe decrease the amount of snakes. Not throw them in the woods or anything, but utilize the fish, keep them if they're flayable, and maybe if you catch a big pike, let it go.
They're good eating, too. A lot of people don't realize that, but pike are, I think, as good as walleye.
I think so, too, and, I hear a lot of people tell me that after I, repeats, let's say, and I flayed a couple pike for them, or even taught them how to do it, show them, because most people don't know. And, and the next time we go fishing, they're like, "Oh, Tom, we love that pike. It was awesome." So,
you were talking big pike too, and we do have some bigger pike. I've caught a total of 3 20-pound pike since I've been fishing up here 45 years in this area. I've been up in Canada and done better than that in 1 week, but we still have some potential for some bigger fish here. And when you talk about the big fish, they're, except for maybe late in the fall when everything seems to be up around the weeds or shallower, they're doing something totally different than the smaller pike, aren't they?
Yep. And like I said, it seems like a lot of time, let's say you go musky fishing in the fall period or now or whatever. If you go fish some shallow weeds, you're probably going to catch some smaller pike. But a lot of times, when that water temp is warm, now it's going to be cooling, but those pike, they tend to stick to the deeper stuff. A lot of people catch big pike accidentally, on a jig and minnow, walleye fishing, throughout the summer, or on, when they're musky fishing, the drop-offs and deep water, maybe next to structure, then they see some bigger pike typically.
Some of the best pike fishing I've had up here for bigger size pike up in that middle to upper 30 inches was fishing on a couple of the Clearwater lakes and taking musky spinner baits and slow rolling them over deeper weeds in 18 to 22 feet of water. And just moving that bait over the top of the weeds, we caught the bigger pike, it seemed like.
Yep. And I believe that, and a lot of guys too, they, I had a friend growing up and he would troll specifically for pike actually on Round Lake, and he caught some really nice ones doing that. And he was trolling musky baits. He was hoping for a musky, but he always knew quality pike. He would get quality pike doing it, and he had a good pattern.
Tom, as we wrap up here, you want to give out some information to people that want to find some information on your lures or your guiding?
Yeah, John. You guys can check out my lures at those bait shops I mentioned in Hayward, Flash Tail Lures. And otherwise, you guys could give me a call for guiding or other information at 715-558-6755.
And you also have an internet webpage, too.
Yes, Tom Leahy, guideservice.com.
Tom, great to have you on here again, and hopefully next time you head out here on Moose Lake, we got a few more active fish out here.
All right. Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Well, folks, we're just about out of time for this week's show, but as we wrap up here, we've got some great tips for you on using spinnerbaits for musky fishing from Jeremy Smith. Jeremy, you mentioned spinnerbaits, and that's one thing I've noticed for years is that people tend to go more for the straight inline bucktails and kind of ignore the spinnerbaits, but the spinnerbait is absolutely a good choice sometimes.
It is. I guess if you're, somebody asked you the question, I was asked this, if you could only fish with one lure, what would it be? And I said a spinnerbait, because I think it's probably the most versatile tool that you've got. You can fish the thing shallow, you can fish it deep, it fishes great in all different types of cover elements, and fish bite it spring, summer, and even into late fall. So they are overlooked. Guys are throwing a lot of double 10s, double 12s, double 8s, in that inline style, but the safety pin spinnerbait is still tough to beat.
You bet. And it really works good around the weeds, through weeds.
It's the best tool. Like, in Ontario, we fish a lot of that real heavy cabbage, and the idea is or bulrushes, but the idea is get the bait into the cover. You want to make contact with the cover. If you point the rod straight at the spinnerbait, and if you start to hang up, just kind of pulse the rod a little bit. Keep the bait hung on the cover so it makes a big disturbance in the area. It lets the fish know it's there. A quick down snap of the rod, the bait pops free and it starts engaging again, and a lot of times you trigger huge fish in that situation where they're not willing to come up for a topwater or a bucktail or a jerkbait, something that's actually in the cover. Most of the time you're constantly mixing up the retrieve, you're changing the speed of the retrieve, you're popping the rod tip a couple times, and even just killing the reel and letting it helicopter for a second helps.
Thanks a lot for talking to our listeners here.
All right, thanks.
Well, folks, we're about out of time for this week's show. I'd like to remind everyone out there that if you miss a show, go to our website at wnoradio.com. From there, you can link to our podcast site, and the show is also on Spotify and Google Podcasts every week. And also, if you're looking for information on vacationing and lodging here in the Hayward Lakes area, check out the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau website at haywardlakes.com. Thanks for listening, folks. We're out of time, and we'll be back again next week with another interesting show for you.
Listen with me, I'm gonna take you there to our Wisconsin outdoors, our Wisconsin outdoors.
This program has been produced and hosted entirely by Wisconsin Northland Outdoor Communications.